Good evening, everyone. Good evening. All right, the Durham Public Schools Board of Education monthly meeting is now in session. At this time, we wish to extend a warm welcome to everyone who is joining us this evening. The purpose of this meeting is to inform our parents, staff, and constituents about the work aligned with our mission to embrace, educate, and empower every student to innovate, serve, and lead. The interpreters for tonight are Martha Romo-Giles and Marty Ramirez. Thank you for taking the time to join us. We'll begin this meeting as we always do with a moment of silence. Please join us. Thank you. Board members, item number 3 is celebrations, administration.
Mr. Sardith. Good morning, board member. Good morning. Good evening, board members. It's a pleasure to be here. We're going to have a really special night tonight with our celebrations. I'm excited for all of our guests to be here tonight. And we are going to start with a recognition of Hispanic Heritage Month. And we have 2 outstanding students who are here tonight to present poetry. One of them could not be with us, but we have an able backup person joining us. I would like to invite to the boardroom from Riverside High School, Sherilyn Delgado Juarez, and from City of Medicine Academy, Melissa Garea Delgado.
So I would be reading a poem, which is called Somos un tribu from Alberto Ríos. Plantamos semillas en el suelo y sueños en el cielo, esperando que algún día las raíces de uno se reunirán con las extremidades estrelladas del otro. Aún no ha sucedido. Compartimos el cielo, todos nosotros, el mundo entero. Juntos somos un tribu de ojos que miran hacia arriba. Incluso cuando nos encontramos en un terreno incierto, la tierra de abajo de nosotros se mueve, tranquila y salvaje. Sus límites cambian, sus músculos se templean. El sueño del cielo es en definitiva de todo esto insensible a fronteras, villas, reservas. El cielo es nuestra casa común, el lugar donde todos vivimos. Ahí estamos juntos en el mundo. El sueño del cielo que requiere pasaporte azul no será violado. El azul no será un crimen. Mira hacia arriba, quedarse un rato. Deja que tu respiración sea lenta. Sepa que siempre tendrá un hogar aquí. We are a tribe by Albert Rios. We plant seeds in the ground and the dreams in the sky, hoping that someday the roots of one will meet the upstretched limbs of the other. It's not happened yet. We share the sky, all of us, the whole world. Together we are a tribe of eyes that look upward even as we stand on certain ground. The earth beneath us moves, quiet and wild, its boundaries shifting, its muzzles wavering. The dream of a sky in a different to all of this. Improves to borders, fences, reparations. The sky is our common home, the place where all live. There we are in the world together. The dream of sky requires no passport. Blue will not be fenced. Blue will not be a crime. Look up, stay a while, let your breathing slow. Know that you always have a home here. Thank you.
Hola, me llamo Melissa García Delgado. Estoy en el grado 12 en City of Medicine Academy y voy a leer un poema. Se llama Como tú, like you, like me, de Richard Blanco. For the DACA dreamers and all our nation's immigrants. My veins don't end in me, but in the unanimous blood of those who struggle for life. Mis venas no terminan en mí, sino en la sangre unánime de los que luchan por la vida. Roque Dalton, como tú. Como tú, I question history's blur in my eyes each time I face a mirror. Like a mirror, I gaze into my palm, a wrinkled map I still can't read. My lifeline, an unnamed road I can't find, can't trace back to the fork in my parents' trick that cradled me here. Como tú, I woke up to this dream of a country I didn't choose, that didn't choose me, trapped in the nightmare of its hateful glares. Como tú, I'm also from the lakes and farms, waterfalls and prairies of another country I can't fully claim either. Como tú, I'm either a mirage living among these spaces and streets that raised me here, or I'm nothing, a memory forgotten by all. I was taken from and can't return to again. Like memory, at times I wished I could erase the music of my name in Spanish. At times I cherish it and despise my other syllables clashing in English. Como tú, I want to speak of myself in two languages at once, despite my tongues. No words define me. Like words, I read my footprints like my past, erased by waves of circumstances, my future uncertain. As wind, like the wind, como tú, I carry songs, howls, whispers, thunder, growls. Like thunder, I am foreign-born cloud that's drifted here. I'm lightning and the ball of rain. Como tú, our blood rains for the dirty thirst of this land. Like thirst, like hunger, we ache with the need to save ourselves and our country from itself. Thank you.
Thank you so much to Sherilyn and Melissa for sharing this with us for Hispanic Heritage Month. Our next presentation is our traditional opener, our traditional opening act for celebrations, and that is the Student of the Month program, for which I would like to invite Crystal Taylor Simon, principal of Middle College High School at Durham Technical Community College, so that she may introduce us to that Student of the Month.
Thank you, Chip. Good evening. Good evening, board members. Good evening, board chair, Ms. Umstead. Good evening, Dr. Mabenga, superintendent. And I would like to say good evening to all of those outside watching us in DPS land via live stream. I am Principal Taylor Simon, and I am the proud principal of Middle College High School. I had to write this down because I'm a talker and I would talk to y'all all night. Okay. I am Principal Taylor Simon, and I am the proud principal of Middle College High School at Durham Technical Community College. Middle College High School is not middle school. I have to go ahead and say that. Rather, we are another early college option right here in Durham Public Schools that we can help students achieve an associate's degree or a career credential while they're still in high school. So thank you for that little plug. But now the reason why I'm here. I want to introduce you to a sensational student, Zlata Bogdanova de Carvalho. There is so much that I can say about Zlata, and I am so thankful that she and her family found their way to Middle College High School. There is only one person on the campus who smiles more than I do, and that's Zlata. From the moment I met her, she simply radiated this positive energy that sweeps across a room. She is kind, polite, and she is exceptionally studious. But don't let all that sweetness fool you. She is a staunch advocate for her peers and her community, and she will speak up when it's right. Zlata is the Middle College High School senior class president. She is a member of the MCHS debate team, and she's also one of our Maverick ambassadors. And outside of all that, she continues to volunteer in her community. She is on track to complete her associate's degree at Middle College. She plans to use that degree to propel her 2 years forward towards her bachelor's degree. And eventually, she wants to go to law school. She wants to become a nurse attorney, and I had to learn this from her. She wants to become a nurse attorney. She said that she has seen so many disparities in the healthcare system that she wants to, and I'm quoting, close the healthcare gap by becoming politically involved in its reform. So without further ado, I am so proud of you, Zlata. You are an amazing student. I present to you Zlata Bogdanova de Carvalho.
Good evening, everyone. I'm so honored to be here today, and I would just like to say a few words. I would like to thank Miss Taylor Simon, our amazing Middle College High School principal, for supporting me every single day and cheering me on, even on the days where I'm not that motivated or I'm going through challenges. She's an amazing principal, and I couldn't ask for more. I would also like to thank my brother who's here today. I think he's in the bathroom. He encourages me every single day over the phone, and I'm so grateful for him. And lastly, I would like to thank my mom. She's not only my mom, but she's my best friend who cheers me on every single day, and I wouldn't be here today without her. Thank you so much.
So I would like to invite the family that is present, and the family that is possibly frantically washing their hands, to please join Zlata. And I have a few gifts of recognition for you. First on the list is our one and only Durham Public Schools Spark Pin. Our Spark Pins are given out to individuals, be they students, adults who feel like students who feel like adults. Gift a recognition for leadership and character, and we would like you to wear that with pride. With that, I also have a certificate of recognition for you. So congratulations. I have another certificate of recognition for you. And this is from the Raven Family Foundation with a scholarship gift of $500. And finally, from our friends at Triangle E-Cycling, a really, really sweet laptop. And these are gifts of recognition for all of our Durham Public Schools Students of the Month who have distinguished themselves with character, with leadership, with academic strength and perseverance. You seem a little overwhelmed. There are many, many more students like you in Durham Public Schools. And we are proud to recognize them as Students of the Month, just as we are proud to recognize you. Congratulations and thank you. If you please walk the red carpet and receive the congratulations of our school board. Please make sure that she gets that. Thank you. Durham Public Schools is blessed to have many partners, be they corporate, nonprofit, or in the higher education sector. Tonight, we're celebrating some teachers who have been great beneficiaries of that partnership, teachers who have earned AIG licensure from Duke University. And for that, I turn things over to Laura Parrott.
Yes, good evening, Chair Umstead, who's not here. Hopefully she is watching, members of the board, and Dr. Mabinga. This year, the Office of Advanced Academics begins the 17th year in partnership with Duke University's Program of Education to provide Durham Public School teachers the opportunity to obtain an academically and/or intellectually gifted add-on license to their North Carolina license. The year-long graduate level course of study with Duke has provided DPS with over 200 AIG licensed teachers since the program began. Tonight, we bring back the tradition of celebrating in front of our school board our incredible DPS teachers who have completed the AIG licensure program. Last month, 4 of our dedicated teachers graduated, and all 4 are currently serving as AIG specialists. So I'd like to introduce them to you. Robert Oshlin with Burton Elementary, and this is actually their graduation certificate from Duke. Absolutely. Elizabeth Reinstein, serving as the AIG specialist at Oak Grove. Khalitha Vinson, serving as the AIG specialist at Moorhead Montessori. And we have one more, Stephen Mason, who was unable to be here tonight because he's actually having his AIG family night, and he is the AIG specialist at Creekside. So the Office of Advanced Academics. Thank you. The Office of Advanced Academics continues to express deep appreciation to Dr. Mabinga, Dr. Hardy, and to all of the members of the board for the continued support that we have to provide rigorous academic challenge that's appropriate for all of our students and cultivating potential. We have 12 teachers in the program right now. We are very excited. They represent a diverse group of Durham Public Schools, and so we look forward to celebrating them at this time next year. Thank you.
For our next celebration, I do my best to be the model of dignity and decorum these presentations, but this is going to be really great. Continuing our history of partnerships with higher education, I am excited to present to you a new Teacher of the Month program, thanks to our partners at North Carolina Central University and many other partners related to that. And I am excited to bring to you our new Executive Director for Talent Acquisition and Employee Recognition, Michelle Hayes, as she introduces this new program. Board members, you may have to watch the screen for this one.
Good evening, Dr. Mabangum and members of the board. I am Michelle Hayes, the new Executive Director of Talent Acquisition and Employee Recognition. This is my first official task as your ED, and it brings me great pleasure to introduce our new partnership. Durham Public Schools is a destination of teaching professionals with a passion for teaching and learning, a servant's heart for students, and a commitment to serving as a diplomat for the profession. Durham Public Schools is thrilled to partner with North Carolina Central University, the Vales Cares Foundation, and DCL Consulting LLC to celebrate and appreciate our noble professionals for their work and presence. And we cannot say thank you enough to our teachers for choosing Durham Public School for your teaching career. You belong here, and your work does not go unnoticed. DPS Offices of Human Resources and Public Affairs, in collaboration with North Carolina Central University, are excited for the launch of the DPS Teacher of the Month program, in which a deserving DPS teacher will be honored each month throughout the school year. And moving forward, presentations will be made at the schools for our honorees. So on behalf of North Carolina Central University's tennis program, the Tall Side chapter of Omega Psi Phi Incorporated, DCL Consulting LLC, please join us in celebrating Vera Bullock, fourth grade teacher at Burton Elementary School, and Leah Gibbs, second grade teacher at Club Boulevard Elementary School, as our first Durham Public Schools Teachers of the Month. Ms. Bullock, Ms. Gibbs, please come forward. Coach Lawson, NCCU players, and Toss Psi members, please come forward to honor our Teachers of the Month for September.
Thank you guys so much for your service. And on behalf of the men's and women's tennis team at North Carolina Central University, congratulations on Teacher of the Month.
Thank you so much.
On behalf of the Tulsa chapter of Omega Psi Phi Fraternity Incorporated, we just want to thank you guys for everything that you've done and the dedication, and congratulations on Teacher of the Month as well. We want to present to you.
And on behalf of DCL Consulting, we are delighted to support you with a small token of our appreciation of your dedicated service. Thank you so very much.
On behalf of all of us at Durham Public Schools, we want to express our appreciation to all of you for recognizing our teachers going forward. Thank you so much. Thank you for being here. And thank you especially to our Teachers of the Month. I am going to ask for a bit of a parting of the Red Seas or something so that our Teachers of the Month can receive the appreciation of our school board members. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. We have two final last-minute announcements to close out our celebrations. The first one is that our own Jeremy Tucker, our fantastic arts director, has been named by the North Carolina Music Educators Association. He's been given their Honor Administrator Award. I asked Mr. Tucker if he would consent to be here, and he is a very self-effacing person, and he said, if you just mention me, that's okay. We'll get back to him on that. The next honoree is somebody who can't get away because he's sitting at the table up there. Our own Dr. Pascal Mbinga has been named by the North Carolina Society of Health and Physical Education Teachers the Superintendent of the Year. So the NC Shape Superintendent of the Year, celebrating Dr. Mbinga's commitment to health and physical education and the wellness of our students. So congratulations, Dr. Mbinga. And that, board members, completes our celebrations for the day.
Thank you, Mr. Suttereth and administration. So great to celebrate our community and to see a big celebration here this evening. That was wonderful. Before we move on to item 4, I did want to let our community know that we have 2 board members that are attending the meeting virtually, and we'll be doing voice votes this evening to recognize them. Our chair, Ms. Bettina Umstead, is joining us virtually, and board member Javanya Lewis is joining us virtually. So we will be hearing from them this evening as well. Item 4, Superintendent's update, Dr. Mbinga.
Thank you, Mr. Sears, members of the board. I'm happy to report that the opening of our traditional calendar school year went extremely well. The difference between last year and this year is profound. Many principals have told me that the students seem more excited to be back and much more prepared for teaching and learning. That's a credit to our teachers and staff who worked so hard with our students last year, helping them overcome their experiences during the pandemic. And it's a statement to the focus of our school and district leaders who kept the school on our strategic plan and on the children and youth service. Our enrollment still fluctuated from day to day, as it always does in the start of a school year. For now, we are looking at approximately about 32,000 students from pre-K to 12th grade, which is very close to our enrollment last year. And we will have more information next month. I want to compliment our transportation department, which has performed an extremely complicated job with skill, thanks to the transportation modernization plan. Our bus route needed to be updated and cleaned up. And although we are relentlessly recruiting, we needed to respond to vacancies among our bus drivers. By switching to our new 3-tier bus and bell schedule, we have been able to continue to serve every school without cutting or refusing service. And we are serving more bus riders ever before, approximately about 21,000 students that are riding buses now. Thank you to Joe Harris, Matthew Palmer, and all our bus drivers, monitors, and mechanics who are preparing for a new level of service. Board members, Monday night at Jordan High School, it was a pleasure to welcome our sheriff office and our police department, our fire marshal division, and our emergency management division for our first Safe School Summit. It was very important to see all our agencies coming together to support our students as well as our leaders, all banding together in support of maintaining safe and healthy school communities. We had rich dialogue with the families and the educators who were there. It is important that we continue to have community conversations about protecting our school communities. We'll be back for the second and final summit next Monday at 6 p.m. And this time is going to be at Southern High School of Energy and Sustainability. Finally, board members, I'm really excited that we will be formally dedicating Land Farms Elementary School with all our elected officials that will be invited, construction professionals, and school and community members who made the opening of the school not only possible, but extremely successful. I look forward to seeing our board members and our guests at Land Farms tomorrow at 9 a.m. This also would not have been possible without the leadership, both in the county offices and in our grassroots communities who made the funding available to construct a school that is worthy of the children and educators who line its walls. I'm similarly grateful to the community leaders who are taking up the charge of ensuring that our building program continues and that we'll continue growing great schools together by modernizing and expanding facility to support school communities across our county. With the help of our bond steering committee, we look forward to the construction of Mary Massenberg Elementary, the construction of a successor campus to DSA, and the extensive renovation of our 6 more elementary schools, with more constructions and renovation projects to come in the rest of our 10-year plan. That's conclude my remarks.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Mbenga. Board members, item 5 for this evening is agenda review and approval.
Mr. Sears,
Yes, Ms. Lewis?
I would like to add an agenda item just after 3A for board information titled donation.
Could you repeat the where you would like it?
Just after 3A.
Okay, is that after the consent items?
Yes,
Okay, after the consent items, there is a motion.
after
Could you repeat
after
motion,
the,
Ms. Lewis?
well, after the Chief of Staff Policy 2121. So just after that,
Okay,
just amend the agenda and add in that item.
okay, could you repeat the item for me, Ms. Lewis?
So the item will be called donation.
Donation, okay.
Yes.
There is a motion. Is there a second for the motion?
I'm
Mr.
sorry,
Sears.
could I have any more clarity on what that is? Is there,
Let me recognize Ms. Umstead.
Yes, I was gonna add a different item. The superintendent received a request from ShotSpotter, and so I would like to add that as it could be non-C agenda item.
Okay, so let's go back to the potential 9B for an item called donation. Ms. Lewis, Ms. Byer was asking for a little more information on that item.
Yes, it's in line with our policy 8220, and I'd like to share some information with the board.
I second.
Okay, so we'll take these one motion at a time. There's a motion to add an item 9B entitled donation to review policy 8220. It's been moved by Ms. Lewis, seconded by Ms. Valladares. Is there any discussion on the item? Ms. Rogers?
My request would simply be to share more information with the board so we could not be surprised by this ask for donation to be on the agenda. Is it, and I guess, is it for discussion or is it for action?
It's for information.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Lewis, are you willing to share any additional information at this time?
Just, I would like to share some information with the board regarding a donation that would be given to the schools. And just to provide transparency that the board members will be made aware of the donation. This is for information.
And I'm sorry, is the administration aware of this already so that that's been run by administration?
It's not requiring anything from administration. It is information for administration to be shared publicly.
I think I don't want us to get too far into discussion before we get to the item. So
Right.
Okay, is there any additional discussion about the motion in general to add it to the agenda? Okay, because we have two remote members, we'll do a voice vote, a roll call vote.
Is there a
Um,
second for that?
We did. Ms. Viadara seconded.
Okay, I thought that was a motion. Gotcha. Just
Yeah.
trying to keep up.
Yep.
Thanks.
Ms. Chavez,
Aye.
Ms. Byer,
Aye.
Ms. Rogers,
Aye.
Matt Sears, I vote aye. Ms. Viadaras,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Aye.
Ms. Umstead.
this is Bettina Umstead. I vote aye.
Wonderful. Thank you. We have added item 9B, a donation. Ms. Umstead, adding an item that was recommended to the administration around shot spotter.
That is correct.
Do we have a second for that motion?
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Umstead, seconded by Ms. Rogers, that we add a discussion of shot spotter to our agenda as item 9C. Is there any further discussion? Ms. Chavez,
Aye.
Ms. Byer,
Aye.
Ms. Rogers,
Aye.
Matt Sears, I vote aye. Ms. Viadaras,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Giovanni Lewis, I vote aye.
Ms. Umstead.
It's Bettina Umstead and I vote aye.
All right, those two items have been added unanimously. Board, I think we actually have to approve the rest of the agenda also. Can we have a motion in a second, please?
I move approval of the agenda as amended.
Second.
It's been approved by, excuse me. It's been moved by Ms. Byer, seconded by Ms. Rogers, that we approve the agenda as amended. Ms. Chavez, how do you vote?
Aye.
Ms. Byer,
Aye.
Ms. Rogers,
Aye.
Matt Sears, I vote aye. Ms. Viadaras,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Giovanni Lewis, I vote aye.
Ms. Umstead.
Bettina Umstead, I vote aye.
Thank you. The agenda as amended has been approved unanimously. Board members, item 6 is our Board of Education monthly meeting minutes for August 25th, 2022. What is the board's pleasure?
Move approval of the minutes from August 25th.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Byer, seconded by Ms. Chavez, that we approve the minutes from August 25th, 2022. Any further discussion? Ms. Chavez,
Aye.
Ms. Byer,
Aye.
Ms. Rogers,
Aye.
Ms. Matt Sears, I vote aye. Ms. Viadaras,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Giovanni Lewis, I vote aye.
Ms. Umstead.
Bettina Umstead, I vote aye.
The minutes are unanimously approved. Item 7 is general public comment. A quick review of the rules first. When making public comment, please state your name. If speaking for an organization, please state your name and the name of the organization. Speakers are asked to present their comments in a specified time, usually 3 minutes. That will be the case tonight. When the yellow light comes on, you have 1 minute left to start winding up your remarks. When the red light comes on, it will beep, which indicates your time is up. Complaints about named staff, students, or parents should not be voiced in open session. However, we are very interested in hearing your concerns with regard to public education, safety of students, or to the operation of the school system. Finally, board members will listen carefully and consider the comments, but we do not engage in a discussion with speakers. Our first speaker this evening is Melissa Perez.
Good evening, board, Dr. Mabenga. In order for me to get the girls to come up here and celebrate Hispanic heritage with us, I had to make a pact with them that I would also read, because they said, "What about you?" And so we spoke about DACO, and we spoke with one of the poems, and we spoke about what it's like you, like me. And so this poem that I would like to share is called Hispano by Juan Olivares. And it speaks of a perspective we hear lots of times about what being Hispano is and isn't, and that we come in all shapes and sizes and colors. Un pueblo, tantas sangres, el pueblo hispano contra viento y marea, Europa asiática oscura como la noche, rubia de ojos azules, excesivamente blanco, hermosos labios carnosos y ojos seductores, marrón, negro, verde y tan azul como el cielo. Mujeres corpulentes y hombres guapos, si no lo tenemos no se ve. En nosotros está el negro de África y el español de ojos azules de lejos, el guerrero azteca tan valiente y orgulloso, el irlandés pelirrojo tan galante y ruidoso, el noble hombre rojo con su rostro estoico. Sí somos una raza mestiza, pero no encontrarás gente mejor porque a pesar de todo somos de todo tipo. El más grande de los cantantes y también de los artistas. Ahora somos muchos, antes éramos tan pocos. Mirar un rostro hispano y encontrarás la raza humana. Hispanic by Juan Olivares. One people, so many bloods. The Hispanic people against the odds. European, Asian, dark as the night, blonde and blue-eyed, exceedingly white. Beautiful full lips and beguiling eyes, brown, black, green, and as blue as the skies. Full-bodied women and handsome men. If we don't have it, it can't be seen. In us is the black man from Africa and the blue-eyed Spaniard from afar, the Aztec warrior so brave and proud, the red-headed Irish so gallant and loud, the noble red man with his stoic face. Yes, we are a mongrel race, but no finer people will you find, because through it all, we are all kinds. The greatest of singers and artists too. Now we are many, once we were so few. Gaze into a Hispanic face and you will find the human race. Thank you.
Board, that was our one general public comment for this evening. All right. Okay, board item 8 is our list of consent items. So for our public, the consent items are items that have been reviewed both by administration and by board members and are placed for common approval. We do have a practice of being able to pull any item off should we desire for further discussion. And with that, I'll accept a motion or discussion.
I move to approve our consent agenda for September 22nd, 2022. Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Chavez, seconded by Ms. Valladares, that we approve the consent items. Is there any further discussion? All right, we'll do a voice vote. Ms. Chavez,
Aye.
Ms. Byer,
Aye.
Ms. Rogers,
Aye.
Matt Sears, I vote aye. Ms. Valladares,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Javania Lewis, I vote aye.
Ms. Umstead.
It's Bettina Umstead. I vote aye.
The consent items pass unanimously. Thank you. Dr. Mbenga, item 9 is Chief of Staff.
Tanya Giovanni.
Yes, I am here. I would ask everyone's consideration and not turn my camera on. I'm a little under the weather today. So today, administration brings for second reading and is requesting adoption of policy 2121, board member conflict of interest. In the précis, I do delineate some of the steps that have taken place prior to presenting this draft to the board, but just for the public and provide some clarity. When we were at the board work session on September 8th, several board members provided feedback to administration and to Mr. Malone regarding some of the language that the board wanted a draft of. And it was then advised that we bring that back, not on consent, but for second reading in the event that the board members wanted to have some additional conversation. We did. Mr. Malone and one of his partners in his law firm, Darrington Smith, did meet with the administrative and operations subcommittee on this draft language. And if you pull it up on the draft language, the language that's in red is the proposed language that we are recommending be adopted. For complete transparency, again, the board did not, has not been shared with the board that some additional language was added at the request of the Ms. Eva DuBoisson at Tharrington Smith regarding separating out nonprofits and business entities as far as spousal involvement goes. So I do want to make sure the board is aware of that prior to any conversation or adoption of this draft language. And Mr. Malone is there in person and is prepared to answer any questions the board may have. Thank you.
Okay, board members, this is on our agenda for second reading and possible action. I will open it up for motions or discussion.
I wanted to say thank you, Ms. Giovanni and Mr. Malone, for your work on this. I think that the changes incorporate everything that we discussed, and I feel very comfortable with this document as it is. So thank you.
Ms. Rogers?
Given that, I guess, thank you, but move approval of the policy 2121 as amended by Ms. Giovanni and Mr. Malone and presented tonight.
Second.
Okay, it's been moved by Ms. Rogers, seconded by Ms. Byer, that we approve policy 2121 as presented this evening. Is there further discussion? Ms. Lewis or Ms. Umstead? Ms. Byer is ready.
So my only discussion would be that we set the timeline as August to follow our fiscal year of submission of these documents. But since we have just passed August, I wonder about board members' readiness to actually catch up since we're getting this policy in place and not wait until next August. And I wanted to have that conversation before we went further with this motion tonight. I can say more. It would be my notion that of best practice that we go ahead and catch up and put this, put our disclosures in place for this year, even though we're past the month of August. Does that make sense to others? Is that?
It does make sense to me. Do our attorney or chief of staff have any recommendation one way or the other?
So I think you could go ahead and approve the policy as is, and then maybe get a consensus of the board to, for this fiscal year, to submit it maybe at the next meeting or something. But I wouldn't try to change the policy to deal with this exception. I would just adopt the policy, then reach an agreement that everyone will turn it in by whatever date. Ms. Giovanni, do we have a form yet?
I believe Mr. Lesueur and I were working on that, but it has not been finalized. But that would not take very long once I return to the office. So we could have that. And Mr. Lesueur, please feel free to jump in, but I believe we could have that in the next week or so to the board.
Okay, so the administration will be ready within a week or so. We do have a motion to adopt the policy.
Second.
Is there any further discussion? I mean, what I'm hearing the attorney say is that we can have conversations within our group to move this forward. Okay. It was moved and properly seconded. Any further discussion? I just want to take extra time for our two members who are online. Okay, hearing none, we'll vote on 9A, policy 2121. Ms. Chavez,
Aye.
Ms. Byer,
Aye.
Ms. Rogers,
Aye.
Matt Sears, I vote aye. Ms. Valladares,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Ms. Giovanni Lewis, I vote aye.
Ms. Umstead.
Bettina Umstead, I vote aye.
The policy passes unanimously. Thank you, everyone. Thank you to our administration and attorney for the work and partnership. Okay, item 9B, Ms. Lewis, donation.
Good evening to our fellow staff, superintendent and administration. Sorry I cannot be with you in person, but I would like to just share with you this item called donation. According to policy 8220, the principal and the superintendent can accept donations on behalf of the board. And also the superintendent will need to notify the board of an accepted donation of more than $5,000. In an effort to provide transparency, even though the donation I'm about to share with you falls below the threshold, I want to make sure that everyone is aware of the donation and the intent. As I am the executive director of a nonprofit called Empowered Parents and Community, or EPIC. EPIC is a 501c3 nonprofit that educates and empowers parents who have been historically marginalized to work with educators and administrators to close the opportunity gap. Specifically speaking of the gap in which the proficiency rate of our students, where it shows Black students to be only 35% proficiency compared to the white counterparts being 79%, along with other indicators to close the gap dealing with diversity in teaching staff, suspension disparities, and culturally responsive curriculum. And it's a way of engaging parents in an authentic way to impact these trajectories. So as I've been engaging with parents in advocacy in the school system since 2016, EPIC was recently granted funding in which we would like it to be made known that EPIC will be donating $500 to 5 Title I schools to support their parent engagement, creating tools of access and taking away any barriers for parents to be engaged. So EPIC has received this grant in April of 2022 and is scheduled to be distributed by the end of the calendar year. I will continue to be transparent in my role as executive director of a nonprofit, a 501c3 nonprofit, to which I report to a board, a 7-member board of directors, and work cooperatively with the Durham Public School Board of Education. So in light of policy 2121 that we just passed, I will continue to abide by the statute and ethically as I present and elevate issues that I hear from parents and the community in my role of serving on the school board. I hope that this funding will continue to increase parent engagement as our policy 4002 acknowledges that the board recognizes the critical role of parents and families in the education of our children in their schools. So I'm just doing my part to support DPS efforts and continuing to serve our community, and just wanted to add this item as a place of transparency of the donation that is being made. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lewis. In a moment, I'll open up a discussion for board members. Ms. Umstead, do you have a comment?
Yeah, just a discussion. I want to say thank you, Ms. Lewis. I appreciate you bringing that to us. And I know that our schools will appreciate funding to continue to engage in parent work. And I think that just models the transparency that we want to see from our board members. So I just want to say I appreciate that and thank you.
Ms. Valladares?
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. I did not know the specifics of the item that you were adding, but I know that every person here on the board serves this community with heart and dedication, and definitely celebrating just the work that supports the organizing, work that supports our schools, and learning about this for the first time, just hearing about it. I think there's just a lot of gratitude of the ways that we give back. I'm also equally grateful for funders that value work that is being done in Durham to serve Durham families. And so just a call out to the community to support everyone who's donating in ways that give back to our students and our families. Thank you.
Ms. Byer?
No, I appreciate it. I appreciate conversation, and I look forward to future conversations about any concerns that I have with you directly, but thank you for bringing this to our attention. And my concern earlier at the start of the agenda was that I always think it is best practice to bring information to colleagues as much in advance as possible and in writing, and also to bring that to to the administration ahead of time. So that was my hesitation at the beginning of this meeting. And I look forward to kind of more detail in writing to follow. But thank you, Ms. Lewis.
All right, I will wrap the conversation by also thanking Ms. Lewis for bringing this in the spirit of the new policy, and look forward to talking with everyone about implementing the policy and getting this kind of transparency for all of us as we move forward. All right, thank you. Item 9C, I will introduce for us. The topic is Shot Spotter. And I will open the conversation with a little back information here that on September 2nd, we were contacted by the ShotSpotter company about deploying the gunshot detection service for the city and the police department, and potentially adding the technology at 6 of our buildings. A memorandum of agreement or understanding would have to accompany such a move. And we do know that the city council is bringing that technology to our community. They're moving that forward. However, because of the request to add this to our buildings, the administration and our attorney would like for us to have a discussion about whether we support such a move or whether we should respond in a different way to shot spotters. So with that, I'll open the floor to discussion from the board. If the attorney would like to provide any additional information, he can. We have the documents in our email and move from there. Travis.
I'll begin. I thank you for bringing up this item. I know that our city council is working to implement programs that they feel would be in the best interest of our citizens. We are all concerned about the safety of our Durham residents. And as a member of this board, all of us are particularly concerned with the safety of our children and the ways in which that affects their abilities to learn and thrive. I do not support putting the shot spotter devices on our school buildings. I feel that this, I do not see a purpose in this collaboration that would serve our mission to ignite the limitless potential of every single one of our students here in Durham. And I am concerned about the potentially detrimental messages that it would convey to our students, having an item of surveillance on their school buildings. And I understand that, you know, these devices are going to be implemented and put up regardless. And that is, you know, that's already in motion. However, I don't think our schools are the appropriate places to put them. And I would be most interested in future collaborations with the city that support in terms of addressing gun violence and the way it affects our students. Collaborations that would allow our students to allow us and our students to address the root causes of violence.
Thank you, Ms. Chavez. Any additional discussion? Ms. Lewis or Ms. Umstead? Board members? Ms. Byer?
So I appreciate Ms. Chavez's comments this evening. I think the city council has a tough job, and we also have a challenging job. And it is our job, as we discussed at our forum on Monday night, to ensure the safety of our students. And our schools are safe. Our children are doing great things every day inside of our schools with the help of our teachers, our educators, and our staff. I am concerned that this technology doesn't in fact make them safer. And so I'd be interested in future conversations about a buffer of not having ShotSpotter within a certain radius of our buildings. I'm concerned that it is more surveillance than is needed, that it is not restorative, and this board is focused entirely on equity and restorative practices. So I look forward to other ways we can partner with city leaders in the future, and look forward to monitoring the evidence of this pilot project within our community, and do not support ShotSpotter on Durham Public Schools facilities. Thank you.
Ms. Rogers?
I appreciate the request that's come through, and I'm really grateful that we are working to reduce gun violence in Durham. It is a problem. And I think that we do need to find ways to work collaboratively to reduce the influence of gun violence on our students and our families. But as a Board of Education and as a school buildings, I think that our first course of action has to be to keep families engaged in the student learning process. And I'm afraid that ShotSpotter on our buildings will put unnecessary surveillance on families and be sort of discouraging for them to engage in that way. I do realize, and I'm well aware, that these devices can be put in locations that are near our schools, and the police will respond in the same way they would if somebody called, et cetera. And I hope that if I know and have full confidence in the city and the police force, that if there's an emergency at our schools, they will respond if called. And therefore, we don't need that surveillance. So it's a no for me.
I hope we get to hear from everyone, because these are the kind of conversations that are nuanced. I want to start with my discussion on addressing a problem. And the problem that we have is gun violence. And I welcome all the comments that were made about the ways that our city is proactively working towards reducing gun violence. And I will admit that no one piece is going to have the answer. As we are contemplating gun spotter technology, it is a technology that works after the fact. It needs to take into account that prevention is actually what we're trying to do as educators, trying to make sure that we dignify our students, trying to make sure that we reduce school to prison pipeline dynamics that actually lead our youth towards choices that could have detrimental impacts for their life and also for their families and also for this community that is so intertwined, that is so connected. I speak as somebody who actually has a bullet in my car from gun violence from youth. Few feet away from my kids' school, both of my children attend school, and one of my kids said, "We almost died." That was exactly what he said. So allow me to just say that we have a problem and that it takes every single body of government to address this problem. The problem that we have is we need to prevent gun violence. We need to prevent guns in our campus. We do not need any weapons on our campus proximate to our children. And again, this technology is not addressing that problem. But I will say that police response, going to the school, I think what this technology does, and based on my reading and looking into it is there's one thing that it does provide a benefit for. So I'm looking at pros and cons, and it's response time. Essentially, it has algorithms, and it actually tracks data and can send responses. It can actually, it's not a perfect algorithm. So I don't know whether whether sufficient trials have been done. I know it's been implemented everywhere else, and I've heard all about where it has been active. But in terms of the kind of nuance with algorithms, whether it can tell, to what rate it can actually detect a gunshot that is actively happening versus if I put a recording of a gunshot on my phone and the audio is there, we'll be able to tell the audio from the actual gunshot. So I am having these questions, and I think this is a nuanced conversation. How accurate is it? And also, what about false positives? How do we go about classifying the false positives? But these are conversations that I know our city council had extensively, and they talked about it for months, and they decided to go in this direction. I guess the question is now for Durham Public Schools, whether this solution of spot shotter applies to our premises. And so the question is, has response time been an issue for our schools? And that's something that I want to put to administration, whether we feel that the benefit of getting a few, maybe within single digits of seconds of response, a benefit of response, if we have concerns about a shot being fired and the response time not being adequate. I know that has been a concern in community, but I want to hear from our admins, just as a question, whether we have had issues of response time, because that's essentially what spot shotter is, seems to address within multiple different things, but they're saying they're getting at that solution. Do we have a problem with response time if there's an emergency on our campus, on our schools?
Good evening, everyone. So in my time here, and it's been my experience, we have not had a problem with response time. We work very closely with both law enforcement agencies, both the Sheriff's Department as well as Durham PD. And they show up anytime that our school buildings are put into secure order lockdown.
Thank you so much, Dr. Monk. And just based on that, I think, I'm supportive of initiatives that are trying to get at a problem that is large scope, and it takes all kinds of approaches. And as I said, preventative is where I'm more leaning towards. I want to prevent violence. I want us to make sure that we raise the kinds of students and the kinds of society that we want. But in this case, when it comes to spot shotter, the collection of data, the issues of privacy, these are things we can tease out as long as our city council did, and even further. I mean, we're talking about algorithms. This is not foreign. Everything is moving towards data collection, big data. It is a trend. And so my response today is just to say that the solutions that it is offering to us specifically are about response time. But I would like for us to keep in mind that they offered a couple of sites, and this is something else, Dr. Monk. Some of them are schools, but not all of them are schools where families are. So I hear the concern around privacy. And I'm wondering, among the sites that they chose, if there is the potential for us to consider, again, respect, the wishes of community members who have raised concerns about privacy and surveillance. But if we have a site, which I believe Bacon Street is a site, it's not, can you tell me a little bit more about whether we as a district would consider like a silent pilot to see what are the benefits? And what I mean about a silent pilot is like a 3-month, just seeing, are there something like a time stamp of 3 months and seeing whether at a building where we don't have families, is there a benefit to having a technology like this? And what are some concerns, including the data sharing? Because I think there's concern about where this data is going to end up. And I know that the Durham Police Department will have the agreement because they have the agreement with Spot Shotter.
Ms. Valladares, I think the response that Dr. Monk gave earlier, that's going to remain consistent to all our facilities. We have not done really extensive research like city have done when it comes to this particular technology. So our position, administration is going to be pretty much, our response has been not an issue. Bacon Street, Hamlin, and other places. And that's our position.
Thank you, Dr. Mabenga. I'm in support, I think, of what we're saying in terms of like, we thank the city for looking at solutions. But I think in terms of how it fits our needs specifically, we don't really have the evidence. And I trust Dr. Mabenga, Dr. Monk, telling us the response time is not an issue, but I'm open to more conversations about this. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Valladares. Ms. Lewis.
Thank you. I am truly appreciative of this conversation and from all of the board members who've spoken so far. And it's as a board member, Valladares shared, is very nuanced position for us to be in and having this discussion. You know, you mentioned, Ms. Valladares, is not a preventative measure, and I agree with that, as well as it is one approach of many approaches to providing safety, or what seems to be providing safety for our community in addressing gun violence. This is a measure that the City Council has voted on and approved of. So as much research as we can do, I definitely trust their judgment and that it has passed from the city, and this is a request coming from them to further support their project. It is always important, we talk about being in collaboration with the different governing bodies. So it's really not my position to judge the efficacy or the project itself and what they deemed it to see fit. But I am concerned about if it's on our school buildings, what is the impact it will have on our staff and students. One thing I saw that it's going to be a surveillance that's barely noticeable or recognizable on top of the building. I wonder about, you know, if there's an alert, would our students or staff be questioned with an investigation, or it's just a matter of like an ADT alarm going off and they respond to the alarm, but it will not go into the building. So I guess that's my concern, is what impact will it have on our students and staff? Do you all know that?
So it's a box that's about 9 by 9, and it weighs about 3 pounds, and it's up on the parapet wall, so you won't be able to see it. The parapet is above the roof line. They can install it without going into the facility, and all their maintenance is done without going into the facility as well. It's my understanding that it doesn't necessarily alarm or anything, but it triangulates amongst other boxes that are throughout the city to try to pinpoint where a shot may have occurred. The only thing that activates it is the sound of the shot itself. It's my understanding, not human voices. It's not a continuous recording, any of those types of things. It is simply a way to triangulate and try to come up with the general area that the shot would have occurred in. And so the box itself shouldn't bring the police or even the people who are maintaining the device into the building unless there's an actual event happening at the building or inside the building.
Oh, wow, that is super helpful. Thank you. And as you all have, you know, looked into this and assessed it and the buildings that it's going to be on, just trying to keep this brief, I would also be in support of the measure as the City Council has brought this to us.
Thank you, Ms. Lewis. Ms. Umstead.
Yeah, this feels tricky to me. I know that we have challenges in our community as it comes to gun violence, and our city council is working diligently to consider options to help support that right, to support families, to support communities that are disproportionately impacted by this. I think I have questions around what the impact is for a school building, and I'm not sure. It sounds like not a every day, but I would just wonder, you know, how often does this falsely get triggered, and how might that bring folks on the school campus, that might bring officers on the school campus? And so that's my question, but I'm not sure if administration has an answer with that. And I just appreciate all the dialogue from my colleagues so far today. I think our work is to help prevent those shots from even going off as within a school building. How do we support students and their families as they're connected to our school buildings? And how do we make sure that what we're doing inside the building, make sure and sends a message that things are safe. Yeah, that's I think all the comments I have right now.
All right, thank you, board. I will simply add that I'd be reiterating things that others have said, but I certainly respect the democracy of our city council and their desire to make progress in this area. I think we all want to see that progress, reducing gun violence. And at the same time, knowing that there are other options for this project to move forward, I don't think a school is the place to put this technology. So with that, the administration is asking us for a direction on such an MOA. So we need a motion to direct the administration one way or the other.
I'd like to make a motion to,
Mr. Malone, sorry, Ms. Chavez.
I think you just need a motion to go forward. I don't think you need a motion not to go forward.
All right, very good. We'll see if there is such a motion. Meaning the administration is not going to act without us. Okay, I'm not hearing a motion. Dr. Mbeka, did you want to add something?
Dr. Monk, do you have that motion? Can you read it?
So unless the board is wanting to move forward, there won't be a motion and we just won't move forward with it.
Consensus.
So just a little more wait time for our online folks, colleagues. All right, we are not hearing a motion, and so we will let that stay as it is. All right, with that, we come to the end of our open session, and I will take a motion to go into closed session, item 10.
Move that we go into closed session for the reasons stated on the agenda.
It's been moved by Ms. Byer, second by Ms. Valladares. We go into closed session for the reasons stated on the agenda. Is there any discussion? We'll do a voice vote. Ms. Chavez?
aye.
Ms. Byer?
Aye.
Ms. Rogers?
Aye.
Matt Sears, I vote aye. Ms. Valladares?
Aye.
Ms. Lewis?
This is Shavanya Lewis, I vote aye.
Ms. Umstead?
It's Bettina Umstead, I vote aye.
Thank you. It is unanimous. We are heading into closed session. We are back in open session. Dr. Mbenga.
Board members, I'm here to seek your approval for the personnel report as discussed at the closed session.
Move approval of the personnel report dated September 22nd, 2022.
Second.
It's been moved by Ms. Byers, seconded by Ms. Chavez, that we approve the personnel report dated September 22nd, 22. Any discussion? We will do a voice vote. Ms. Chavez,
Aye.
Ms. Byer,
Aye.
Ms. Rogers,
Aye.
Matt Sears, I vote aye. Ms. Valladares,
Aye.
Ms. Lewis,
Stravania Lewis, I vote aye.
Ms. Umstead.
Bettina Umstead and I vote aye.
All right, the personnel report is unanimously approved. And with that, we are adjourned.